I have those for him, Baruch Hashem.
Yes, I mean, okay. Anyway, good Yom Tov. Good Yom Tov. Today is a Yom Tov. It's Rosh Hashanah. I mean, and it has nothing to do with Chassidus. It has to do with a Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah. Arba Rosh Hashanah Haim. There are 4 Rosh Hashanahs. So no one can argue about this. In fact, I just came back for shul, and in the minyan, where there's usually, they daven even before the nates, and so usually the bidding there for special days for the aliyahs goes high, And today it went for $6. They always start at 5, and a guy said 6 because he buys always the aliyahs if no one else is bidding. And I turned around to some of the I said, "You guys don't celebrate this Rosh Hashanah?" I don't understand. For every other day, you guys bid it up, and this day you just let it go. Anyway, but it is a special day, a very special day. And again, how do I know it's a special day? When I was growing up, it was just about not saying Tachnun like everyone else around here. You don't say Tachnun, and you have a fruit, and you go on. But the Rebbe started to farbring on Tu B'Shvat in the 1970s, and he really made a big deal about it. What do I mean? He explained the content of the day, and he said he said on Maimer Chassidus. So it's another point I want a side point just for a moment. The Rebbe took a lot of these days that we have on the calendar that Klal Yisrael made no issue of for the last hundreds of years. Tu B'Shvat, Tu B'Av, and other such days, even though everyone knows that it's brought in the Gemara or the Mishnah or here or there, but no one made a big deal about it. No one really spoke about it. It's only recent that Hasidic Rebbes have started to make kind of more of a big deal about these days. Some have the Seders, some they have Tishin, you know what I'm saying? But if my heart serves me right, I would say they all did it once the Lubavitcher Rebbe in the early 70s started, making a big deal about all these days, which is fine. Because, the fact is that Yiddishkeit went to the right post-Holocaust more and more and more. And in the 70s, with the yeshivas, with the yeshivas, the Bali Tshuva yeshivas, the late 60s, the diaspora yeshiva, and the Hadar Torah, and the Isha Torah, and Or Sameach in the 70s, going to the 80s. So it became, and then the regular yeshivas all became, populated and strengthened, and so many more students went. So the Jewish world found itself in a culture where more and more religion, more and more holidays is appreciated. When I was growing up, in the 60s and 70s, we didn't hear about these things. Everything was, our parents were working very hard. They all survived and just came to the country, and they were, just happy to have Shabbos. For my father, if he could, be a Shabbos and not fall asleep at the table and sing Nigunim and be with his family, that was the biggest gift. That's all he needed, And he told us so, because he worked so hard during the week to make a living for the family. So, but that changed over the years, and today it's very different. And in a way, I just had my grandkids here. I just told you, and I look at them and I hear them and I see them and I think about how I grew up and how they're growing up, and it's night and day. It's night and day. And they're not growing, and they're growing up. My son is a very fine, father and chassid and Jew and all that. But it's just a different culture. It's a very different culture. The world is really differently. It's 50, 60 years later from 1970, and a lot of changes. And we're feeling it. We're feeling it now, so we're already on the older side, with our grayish white beards and, you know what I'm saying? We're already, what is our responsibility as grandparents? Our responsibility is to provide and make way and do things that the next 100 years with Mashiach, or God forbid without Mashiach, there'll be a strong Yiddishkeit. A strong Yiddishkeit. And not to decide our Yiddishkeit based on a few in Meir Shorim, or a few in Borough Park, or a few in Chicago, and a few in Los Angeles. All of Yiddishkeit. What can we do? And this is, and it's being done more and more. I'll give you an example. I got a call from someone yesterday from Staten Island. Someone who I met at a Yutes Kislev upbringing and I led in Staten Island one of the evenings. Never met him before. I find out that he's a chaplain in the army. And there are times he was stationed overseas, and now he's doing his work from here. Grew up in a Litvish kind of home, went to some Litvish yeshivas, started to gravitate to Chassidus, to Chabad, other Breslov, other Chassidus, and he called me to ask about this tape that I released for Zalma Shechter and different things. He was asking me, and then he tells me, you should know, I listen to your shiurim on my way from Staten Island. I drive my kids into Brooklyn to yeshiva. I follow and I'm up to date with your classes of the morning that I'm giving now. I can't be there in person because I'm on the road, but I follow them. No? That's what he did just yesterday, just in passing, Who would imagine? Because I put them up on YouTube, and sometimes I say, who's watching them on YouTube? They're 45 minutes, they're long, people don't have the patience. Our share, what I'm saying? We're learning interactive. Yeah, Moshe.
Do you stream them live on YouTube?
No, on Facebook.
You stream them live on Facebook?
Yeah, right now we're on Facebook, but only you see me. You don't see you guys.
Right.
But we do hear you. Whatever is said is heard.
Yeah. Okay, just curious.
Yeah. And people from time to time participate, and they make with the thumbs, and they make comments. Baruch Hashem. But the point I'm saying is that it's a whole different type of world we live in. So going back to Rosh Hashanah, so the Rebbe saw this. I mean, this is again. Look at a Rebbe who was in a way old-fashioned. You know what I'm saying? He came from a shtetl, came from Nikolaev. He lived through the First World War, the Second World War. Didn't have children. On and on, as we discussed. And he has the vision to do things which now we see the fruit and the positivity and how everyone's emulating him. And Baruch Hashem. So today's Rosh Hashanah of Ilonis. Actually, it's Rosh Hashanah for, so the Mishnah says that it's a machlekes, right? B'Shama and Beis Hillel, if you look at the Mishnah Rosh Hashanah. B'Shama says that's on Rosh Chodesh Shvat. And Beis Hillel says it's on the 15th. There's a famous talk of the Rebbe. I'm not going to go into it now. If you care to, you can find it probably online or in Likutei Sichos, in Sefer of Sichos, where he talks about what's the logic of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. And he explains that we find a commonality between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel throughout Shas. And if you were to analyze all the different disagreements between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, you'll see the same thread throughout. And what is that? Whether we deal with the issue, we relate to the issue based on potential, or whether, which is called in Hebrew, koach, or poel, the poel. Do we go after the koach, or do we go after the poel, the actuality? Beis Shammai holds you follow the koach, right? So what does Beis Shammai say? How many do you, and Beis Hillel says bepoel. And Beis Hillel says so, but Beis Hillel says bepoel. So true, on Rosh Chodesh Shvat, there was the koyach, the potential for the actual budding of the trees, but it doesn't happen until 15 days later. So Beis Hillel says that's when it's really Rosh Hashanah Lilamas, because we follow the poel. Beis Shammai says no, we follow the koyach, and it starts at Rosh Chodesh and on Rosh Chodesh Shvat. Yonis, are you familiar with that Sikha, the Rebbe? You recall that Sikha? Yeah. Right. So it's a very good sikha to learn because it goes through several different, Hanukkah. Do we light eight candles the first night and then 7, or do we do 1 and then go down to 8 and go up to 8 and such things? But going back to this idea, so what are we celebrating today? The Ilonis. Ilonis are fruit. Fruit represents Basi Legani Lignuni. We just come from Basi Legani, a place of delight. In other words, the celebration of Tu B'Shvat is not just about that part of Torah that is what we call grain, wheat, bread, necessity, existence, but Tu B'Shvat celebrates and is the Rosh Hashanah for pleasure, for delight. What is pleasure and delight in the world of Torah? Pnimius HaTorah, the inner aspect of Torah. When you start tasting the inner aspect of Torah, it's a different Torah. And since I'm still on this, video with Zalman, so he tells over the story that in 1938 he came to Marseille or somewhere around there, and it was Chamish Aser. That's the way the Polish Hasidim, Hungarians, they don't say Tu B'Shvat, they say Chamish Aser. So it was the 15th, Chamish Aser, and they had a substitute. Their teacher couldn't be there that day. And he said, I'll send you a substitute. A person walks in, the substitute, and the substitute is someone that Zalman had seen before in the Beis Medrash, learning with a Moroccan Chacham. And he didn't know his name, and he knew nothing about it, and he came and sat down and learned with him, didn't speak to anybody else, and picked himself up and left. So Zalman and his friends, coined him the Moroccan. If he's learning with a Moroccan Chacham, he must be Moroccan too. This was in the mind of these young 14, 15-year-old boys, 13-year-old boys. Anyway, 14. Anyway, so then the same Moroccan walks in on Tu B'Shvat into the classroom. Oh, and he walks in with his gray hat and his gray suit, and he says in Yiddish, "Zem was lernt hier?" What are you learning? So they say Masechtas Ksubas, tractate Ksubas of the Gemara. So right away, and the Moroccan happened to be the Rebbe, later who became the Rebbe. And then he said, Psula Nisas b'yom ha'revi. A virgin marries on the 4th day. Why b'yom ha'revi? And he explained that we learn Pirkei Avos. Shtei alpayim toyu, shtei alpayim Torah, shtei alpayim yimei Mashiach. 2,000 years of void, 2,000 years of the Torah, 2,000 years of the days of Mashiach. And he says, Yom HaRevi is the 4,000 year. Each day of the week corresponds to 1,000 years. 6 days of the week, and you got 2, 2, and 2. So what's Wednesday? Wednesday is the 4th. So when it says Psula Nisas, a virgin marries on the 4th day of the week, this means in the 4th millennium. So right away, Zalman says that his head was spinning. He never heard someone give such an interpretation on a Mishnah. You know what I'm saying? That's not the literal meaning. And it really, made an impression on a 14-year-old. Then he says, but Mashiach didn't come yet. So we go into the 5th. Yes, Hillel.
The Rebbe said that?
Yeah.
Or who said? Okay.
Yeah. Zalman is repeating what the Rebbe said. So we go into the 5,000th year, which is the Thursday, which is already the first year of the last millennium, of the last 2,000 years. No, so he should come on during that time. He's still not here. So we go to Friday, and Friday is the 6,000th year. And then Chazal tell us he has to come by this and this time. And then the Rebbe says to the students, but it's late. It's late on Friday afternoon. and Mashiach is still not here. That's what he said. I don't know if he finished it there, but Zalman doesn't say more. And he walked away with this man has a global vision. A global vision that this is not just about creation, not just about the giving of the Torah, not just about Mashiach's time. It's about, bottom line, where are you? So, I say that because this was all on the 15th of Shvat, 1938. How many years ago it is from today? Figure it out. 40 to 60, 71, 73 years ago. Right? 73 years ago on this day, Zalman Schachter says, this is what the Rebbe said in Marseille, in a little steeple. You think about that, it's awesome. Now, on one hand, you can say, well, no, what's the awesome? Mashiach's still not here. We're still in Golus. We know that. That we know. We don't need anyone to tell us that. It's obvious. But the positive side of it is that there is a wholesomeness to this madness. There is a structure to the Eibishter's plan. Chamisha Osar, the Rebbe didn't say this that time, but as I'm talking to you, teaching you, I'm thinking about it. What's the connection between that teaching of the Gemara in Ksubas that the Rebbe elaborated on 73 years ago on this day and the day? Possible. And Chemish Osir, right? There's everything that happens to a Yid has a purpose. The fact that Avi got up and went to Kfar Chabad and got the Svarim and came back is now there's a purpose. It's not just because he needed the Seifers, he had to go to Kfar Chabad. No. His neshama had to be in Kfar Chabad for a few hours. So some things we understand, some things we don't understand. So what's the connection? So just talking out loud now. Talking out loud is that the whole idea of Mashiach is that a person should also experience godliness and holiness in his delights, in his pleasures, in his trees, in his fruits. Because if you only experience your godliness and your Torah in your wheat, in your grain, there's a part of you that is dry and boring and not interested. And it means that part of you is not united with Hashem. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that every aspect of man, including his trees and his fruits and his pleasures and his delights, should be animated with godliness. That's the lesson, that's the overall lesson from Tu B'Shvat, celebrating the trees, the fruits, and not just the grain. This Nakuda, the Rebbe said many times on the Farbrengens on this day. But I'm putting the two together, the story of 1938 and the fact that it happened on Tu B'Shvat and the message of Tu B'Shvat, I'm putting them together as a possibility. So, when you learn Chassidus and you take a taste of what's called in the Holy Zohar, Ilona, the Chaya, the tree of life, a tree is here to stay. That's what I told you yesterday. A bird soars on high, but it can be blown away and it could die. But a tree you can count on today, tomorrow, and 100 years from now. When I was in Poland last December, and I drove towards my mother's birth city, and my grandmother's place, town and village, on the way I had the driver stop in these forests that and unfortunately, in many of those forests, the Nazis in Machshemon killed many Jews. But I wanted to actually walk the ground for 5 minutes. He stopped on the side of the road, and I was able to walk up the little hill and put my foot on the soil of a forest. And you look at these forests, you see trees. Trees and they're all next to each other. You know why trees are next to each other? Because they don't let each other fall down. When you're together, you don't fall down. When you're far away from each other, you fall down. Chassidus is the limud of Klal Yisrael that helps Yidden stay together and not fall down in the toughest times, in the best times, when you stay together. And that's what the message of a Tu B'Shvat is. And when we talk about Tu B'Shvat, we talk about the Shiva Minim, the 7 kinds. And they have a video that's on COL and other websites and going around, which is worth looking at. It's a short video. This must have been in the 80s, in the 85, 86, one of the years, the Rebbe's Farbrengen, and they have a whole platter of fruit next to him. And after, in between the talks, you see him take off one grape, but he's not satisfied, and he's looking at the platter, and he says to Rabbi Yunik, one of his aides, "Is there a fig, a te'ena?" And the aide comes running over all, flabbergasted, like, I don't know, do I know if there's figs here? They ordered it from the store. And the Rebbe, look at his face. The Rebbe is so serious. He says, "Te'ena. I want a te'ena. Is there a te'ena here?" And that's the end of the video. And I'm thinking about it. What is the Lubavitcher Rebbe trying to show? What is going on over here? We know the Shiva Minim. Figs. Right? Honey, when it says Erev, Tzcholav, Zovas, Udvash, what are we talking about? What kind of dvash? Not dvash from a bee. Dvash from? No? Right.
From a date.
Dates. Right? So, that's what I meant. Dates. Te'ena. Dates. So, the Rebbe makes a big deal about a te'ena. Now, yes, Hillel. I can't hear you. You're mute.
Te'ena is figs and tamarim are dates.
Right, tamarim dates. So he wants a te'ena. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right, of course. A te'ena. But be it as it may, I'm just pointing it out. I don't know the explanation. I'm not a Rebbe. I mean, we can be very simple about it. He wants more of the Shiva Minim. The Nekuda is, the Shiva Minim, the 7 kinds, are not just fruits, but they represent, and there's many Sfarim that have many ideas in Sfarim about the Shiva Minim. And it brings to mind another thing that's simple but needs chizuk. When we recite the after bracha, the Me'ein Shalosh of Ala Michya, Ala Gefen, and Ala Peiros, we should, again, pay attention to the way the Rebbe says the bracha achreina. First of all, he would always open a siddur. He wouldn't say it by heart. I say it, and most people say it by heart. The Rebbe wouldn't do that. He would say it from a siddur. And he would say it word for word. And you could see that he's making an after bracha. And I'm saying the simple hayra, the simple lesson for us is to be mechazik our saying of brachas in a slow way. I don't mean slow. And to say, articulate every word and to think about the meaning of the words. Then you're actually giving thanks to Hashem. So that's something that every one of us at whatever age can do and should do. Another nekuda of this Tu B'Shvat, Rosh Hashanah Li'Ilonos, is that the rain, the season of the rain has officially stopped, although it still might be raining by you, I don't know, whatever. But according to Mishnah and Gemara, it's like the end of rain. So, what is the avodah of rain? And when did we begin rain? On Shmini Atzeres, right? And then we had, of course, the Zayin Cheshvan. Rain represents, it says in Chassidus, the approach to Hashem milmato lemaila, from below to above, right? Because the rain comes from the clouds, right? And in other words, it's our activity of coming closer to Hashem that activates Hashem in a way that He reciprocates, but it begins with us. That's the avoda of rain. What is the avoda of tal, do? Do is loy me'otzer. It never stops. It comes every morning, a little more, a little less. Sometimes you feel it more, sometimes you feel less, depending on the weather conditions. But it represents the avoda milmayla lamata, from above to below. Meaning Hashem gives without asking and without service, He just gives. What's the difference between the avodah of motor and tal spiritually? What is the quality of the connection? So when you get something for free, yes, you've gotten it, but the quality is lacking because you didn't earn it. What's the virtue of earning something is it's not, you won't have as much as if you got from, got it as a gift, but it's earned. So now from Tu B'Shvat till Pesach is pretty much 2 months, right? 2 months, Nisan. The next 2 months is in a way like a period because we stop saying Tal, we start saying Tal when Pesach, right? Right? So the avodah of Tal is Pesach. But here we're still in the winter, going into the spring, and we're saying Tal Motel of Rocha, but nevertheless we say that as far as the trees are concerned, this is Rosh Hashanah the trees, because the rain has stopped somehow. I mean, the season. This is brought in Sfarim. I'm not making that up. So I'm asking, what should be our perspective? Are we in Tal or are we in Matar? And possibly we're still in Matar, but now we have kind of the Tal within the Matar. In other words, now we're going to emphasize taking this Matar, this rain that we got until now, and making of it, using it to the point where we're able to access a greater bracha than what our avodah caused. Our avodah, our activity, our work earns us a certain amount. But once we've done our work, the work talks for itself, and the work displays itself to Hashem. And then Hashem says, oh, I see you've worked. You know what this is analogous to, Yonason? What we learned just now in Kunter Shemayin a few weeks ago, and was repeated yesterday in the Kitzur, that how much will you get on Rosh Hashanah? Remember, you get in your storage house, in Malchus Datzilis, and it's sealed on Yom Kippur. In the spiritual realm, the Rebbe says it depends what you did the year before, and you remember he spoke about slichas, asaris yemei tshuva, remember all that? But before that, in slichas, elul and slichas. And so there's the avodah of the year before, and he gave the mashal, he brought from the Baal Shem Tov. The mashal is that how much will I loan you this year to do business, depending on what you did the year before with my money, and paying it back. And all that. So if I see that I gave you a loan and you took the initiative to take the loan and make out of it business and stand on your own feet, I'm willing to give you more of a loan this upcoming year. And maybe that's the idea, that now the next 2 months is where we bring to Hashem the avodah of mutter, that we worked hard from Shmini Atzeres, from that period until now, in the avodah of rain, meaning of generating the connection with Hashem. And now that goes to Hashem, and Hashem says, okay, I want to assess that and infuse you within your avodah the next 2 months, something that is greater than yourself. Now, what does that practically mean? Like Moshe always says, asks, what does that practically mean? Give me a practical example. It means that what we're going to do in the next 2 months has the potential of being blessed in a way far beyond what we do. So whether it's in business, whether it's in learning Torah, whether it's in simchas, whatever it is, the exertion, the result of the exertion will be far greater than the exertion. So if you make an investment, Hashem will bless that investment that in the next 2 months it'll quadruple chves in a way that you never dreamt. Why? Because you earned it. You earned a certain amount. You worked hard. You did the avodah of mutter, of rain. Now the rain triggers that Hashem says, okay, this guy's a great guy. This guy is someone who works on himself and he's made a difference. So I want to really bless him. I want to really gift him. And that's an interesting. If my thinking is correct, it's something that just came to me. But if my thinking is correct, it's a great opportunity between now, because I've never heard anyone. Did you ever hear anyone speaking about there's 2 months from Tu B'Shvat to Pesach? Hillel? Did you ever come across that?
No, that's a new idea for me.
Yeah.
Certainly it's Shloshim Yom Kodem Purim, and Purim is Shloshim Yom Kodem Pesach.
Right. But I'm connecting it to...
But no, that's a new idea.
Yeah, I tell you the truth, I haven't seen it in a sefer. Not that I looked much for it this period, but I'm just thinking about how it has to do with the whole avodah of mutter and tau, and it comes out it's a 2-month period that we have now to, in a way, benefit. So it's a great opportunity now. It's a great opportunity to be focused on this and to take it in. Take it in. In other words, sometimes when Hashem gives you the bracha, we squander it. We don't realize, and it's a waste. Like I told you, that Purim 1958 Farbrengen, when the Rebbe's, wanted, he said it's an opportunity for wealth and raise your hands, and very few Hasidim raised their hands because they were embarrassed to show that they want money. And the Rebbe said afterwards, you're a bunch of foolish Hasidim, calling them Chasid Shaita. You're a stupid chassid, a foolish chassid. Here was a time when you could have gotten a bracha for Ashirus, which we all need and could use for tzedakah and community. And because, one second, you understand, because of your chassidishkeit, you didn't want to raise your hand. The Rebbe said that. Yes, you understand.
Yeah, I heard that those people that put up their hands were rich already, and you would have made them have money, and they wouldn't have.
No, I know who the people are. They were not rich already. It's not true.
Pope had.
Yeah, and he wasn't. He was rich already in 1958. No. I'm not saying he was a pauper, but he was. He didn't have 5,000 apartments in real estate in Brooklyn and Manhattan. Sorry, he didn't have that then. No, they were maybe doing business, but anyway, even if it's true that their wealth went up over the years, again, take it or leave it. No one can prove this to you. Just the fact is, the Rebbe said those words at the Farbrengen. That you can hear on the tapes. There's nothing to deny. What's the Nakuda? The Nakuda is that when we say in the morning, it's an Eis Ratzon, an auspicious time. when there is an auspicious time on the calendar and in your life, don't waste it, because that's the time to make the sale, make the investment, make the connection. That's the day, that's the time. And, Hasidim don't like talking like that because it's like so. But the Rebbe said it. Why? Because we need parnasa and we need wealth and we want to build more Yiddishkeit and more yeshivas and more families and all that. So, you're such a tzaddik, you give away your money to a meisid, if you're so holy. But don't not accept the bracha, especially today. So I want to conclude that on this day of Rosh Hashanah Lilanis, that we should continue learning Chassidus and enjoy our learning and kochzich and be immersed in our learning and to talk it over with other people and share the beautiful message of having delight and pleasure in something outside and greater than food and sleep and money and all that, but something that's real exciting and real important to the growth of a Yid. Anyway, Chevra, have a great Shabbos and a great rest of Tu B'Shvat and a great Rosh Hashanah. We'll see everyone Sunday. I'm going to tell you, I didn't get a chance. I'll send you tonight or tomorrow, Bli Neder, what mimer. I think it's going to be volume 2. I'm going to look in volume 2, okay? So please, my Moram Melukotim, the previous Rebbe, volume 2, I will find a mimer. I'd like to see a mimer that's relevant to Purim so that we start learning. Yeah, yes, Avi, that volume, yes. Sei gesund, shalom, bye.
Shabbos all.
Shabbos, Shabbos, bye-bye.